In this chapter of the Full-Time GoDev series, the JSON API chapter where we are building an hotel reservation room, we are going to continue where we left off, and I think it's time to basically insert users, list users, and all that stuff, make our user CRUD kind of complete. So let's, without any further ado, let's get this party started. So let me open up user handler real quick. Boom, boom, boom. So what we could do already is handle get users, handle get users. This is basically not 100% complete, so we're gonna fix that. So what we're gonna do is we going to delete this thing. I don't think we have anything. Let's do nil to be honest here for the compiler. I don't think we have anything to retrieve in our user store, right? So we have user get user by ID in our interface here, and we need to have get users, which is going to take in a context.context like usual. What we're going to do here is later on we're going to pass in a query, so we can actually list users for pagination and everything. But for now, we don't need that. We're going to say pointer to we're going to have a slice of types.user and an error, right? Because we're going to get users. We need to implement that thing, so we're going to copy this function. We're going to rename this to get users. We don't need this ID string here, and that's going to return a slice of types.user. How are we going to do this? We are going to say that users is going to be a slice of types.user. And then we are going to say if r, actually to be honest, I think it's going to be the cursor, an error is going to be s.collection find, and we need to pass in our context, and then we need to pass in a filter, a query filter, but we don't have that query filter right now, so we're going to make a placeholder, and it's going to be a bson m, empty. And I'm going to say if there is an error, right? If that's returning an error, we're going to return nil, no users, and an error. Actually, to be honest, what we could do, no, it's fine. Then we need to decode. Actually, to be honest, we could do this or here. It doesn't matter. Actually, to be honest, I think it's better here. Then we're going to say if cure decode. Is this going to return? Yes, it's going to return error. So we're going to say if r is going to be the cursor, decode me everything into this users variable, and the error is not null, we are going to return nil and the error once again. And if that is passing, we can actually return our users and no error, right? That's basically get users. Later on, we're going to do a filter query, but now it's not needed. So let's go to our user handler. Handle get users. So what we're going to do is we are going to say that the users error is going to be h user store get users, and we need to do, if there is an error, of course, we are going to return that, and otherwise we're going to Marshall JSON this thing. Something is wrong. Yes, we need to have a context here, so we're going to say a context. Actually, to be honest, I think Fiber has a context. Yeah, like that. Look at this. Fiber has a context. So we do context background here. We're going to change that. We're going to say, because Fiber, that's why context is so important, because all these libraries, they use that, and you can basically be compatible with them. That's something I forgot. So yeah, like this. This is beautiful. Handle get user. I think everything is set up to test, basically. I think we could do already make run here, start our application. I'm going to fetch my API real quick here. I'm going to zoom in also. I'm going to show it to you very soon. It's actually already zoomed in. It's fine. So we are going to go to our localhost 5000, and we're going to say API, of course, v1/user, press enter. And we got an error. Cannot decode document into a types.user. That's bad news. Why is that? So basically we are doing user store. Let's open up user store real quick. You see, sometimes we are coming into problems. Oh yeah, I see. I think we need to return this. No, we can't. That's fine. We decode this. Then we return. What is going on here? Let's print out this users thingy, right? Let's debug a little bit. fmt print ln. These users here, let's make run. Let's see what's going on. So we'll press enter. Wait, we get nothing actually, to be honest. What's going on here? Cannot decode document. Did we make a mistake actually? Because we're... Oh yeah, it's of course we cannot do that here because it's going to be in... Yeah. We're going to decode here, right? And get users. So this is basically an error here. But the question rather is, do we have users inside? Maybe we're gonna do... because what I think is happening, that we don't have any users because I resetted my database and it's going to give us an error. So what we need to do here basically is we are going to return a slice of types user. Actually, we can return users here. This is a little bit weird, but the thing is, what's going to happen is that this users here is going to be an empty slice, and that's what we want to return. If we cannot find any users, we're basically going to do this. I'm not quite sure this is going to work. Let's do nil here. Let's see what this is going to do. Let's make a run. So it's going to return null. Maybe we need to do this. A slice of pointers types users. And we're going to initialize it actually. That's basically better. I think that's the play here. That's the play we need to do. So make run once again. And press enter. Yes, now we have an empty slice. That's perfectly fine, right? So it's because it's trying to decode something that does not exist, right? There are no users in our database and it's trying to decode not that. That's impossible. So we are going to return an empty slice. So if somebody wants to fetch users and there are no users, it's going to get an empty slice. It's going to work perfectly fine. So enable to test this function, we're going to create users first and then we're going to see that. So what we're going to do is we are going to our user handler and you're going to see what I mean by that. And we're going to make a new function. We're going to say func h user handler create handle post user, because we're going to post the user, right? It's going to be C, a pointer to a fiber ctx. We're going to return an error. And we're going to return nil here for now. Then we're going to do our main. We're going to make this route here. We're going to say API v1 post. And we're going to post to /user. And that's going to be user handler. What's going on here? Handle post user, right? Handle post user. Right. Perfectly fine. Now we need to go back to our user store and implement that. So we're going to say here, we're going to call this create user context, and we're going to pass in a user, right? So there's going to be a types user, and that can return basically also a types user, because we're going to return, because if you create a new user, you will not specify the ID because that's going to be generated by MongoDB itself. But if we post a new user, we're going to return the user with the ID. So we're going to say types user here, and of course also an error, right? That's that. Okay, cool. So now we're going to go to our user file, And we're going to add some stuff, right? So we also need an email, which is going to be a string. And let's copy this bson thingy. And we're going to say this is going to be an email. All right. We also need an encrypted password, right? Encrypted, we're not going to store passwords in plain text. We are going to encrypt them. If that makes any sense, right? So we're going to store an encrypted password in our database. So we're going to say encrypted password is going to be a string. And that needs to be a bson. Yes, we're going to copy this real quick. Boom. We're going to call this encrypted password. And we are going to do this. This is basically, this means, I did a mistake, right? In the previous episode, I think I said this is going to be not showing your JSON, but it's going to be this. It's not going to show the JSON, because if somebody wants to fetch the user, we want a list of users, we don't want to show the encrypted password in JSON, right? First name, last name, email, that's fine. And then we need to have a function to create a user. And I'm going to teach you a very good practice here, which is not being taught so much. And that is, we're going to separate our domain from a request, right? So we have the user domain, but we also have the request scope. If you want to post something, you're going to post variables, you're going to post params. You're not going to post a complete user, because our user is going to have a lot of variables, and we want to make it a little bit more data-oriented. It's a very good approach. So we're going to say here, type, and we're going to call this create user params. Also good for validation later on. That's going to be a structure. And we're going to say, we're going to copy some values. That's what we're going to do. It's okay. And we're going to say also a password, which is going to be a string. And these values do not need this bson stuff, right? It's nothing to do with the database. This is just the request scope. We're going to say password here. That can be plain text. Password, just like that. So then we're going to say, we're going to make a function. Creates a user from params. Actually, to be honest, new user from params. And that's going to take in params, and that's going to be create user params, and that's going to return us two things. It's going to return us a pointer to a user and also an error, right? Cool. So the first thing we're going to do is basically, if the user gives us a password, we're going to encrypt that. So how do we going to do that? We are going to use bcrypt. Let me quickly search that up. So we're going to have this package here, which is a bcrypt package, and it's going to bcrypt our password, right? And we need this function compare. Is that what we need? Generate from password. That's what we need, and it takes in a bytes password, and a cost is basically how secure you want to make it, right? So how to install bcrypt? We're gonna do this. We're gonna copy this thing here, colon, copy this, boom, 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 paste that in. Then we're gonna basically go back to the beginning and say go get, press enter. It's going to install bcrypt. It's already been done. And then we're gonna say that the encrypted PV error is going to be bcrypt.generate from password. And what do we need? We need the params password. And it already converted this to bytes because it wants bytes. So we're going to basically cast this string to bytes. And now we need to have a cost, right? And we're going to say cost here. And we're going to make a we're going to say bcrypt cost, actually. Bcrypt cost. I'm going to make a constant here. And we're going to call this bcrypt cost, and we're going to say 12 or something. Yes. If there is an error, and that error is not nil, we are going to return nil and that error. All right. So now we have an encrypted password. Pretty good. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to return this pointer to our user and nil right here. So we're going to say that the first name is going to be the params first name. The last name is going to be the params last name. The email, and we're going to do our validation in our handlers email. So this also going to be validated at this point. And then we're going to say that the encrypted password is going to be params we need to make a string out of this enc.pv, right? Because that's going to be bytes, and we're going to cast it to a string, if that makes any sense. Right, this is our new user from params. Beautiful, clean, and mean. Yeah. So we are going to go to our handler right now. So this is our post user handler. The first thing we're going to do is basically encode the JSON request into a user, into a params, into a request params. So we're going to say var params is going to be a types.createUser params. And then we're going to say if error is c dot, I think it's body parser. So that basically means it's going to parse the body, and we need to give it in what do we want to parse the body. So somebody's going to send JSON to us, and the body parser will parse that based on the content type, but it's going to be JSON, so it's going to parse it to JSON. And we need to specify in what kind of struct we want to parse it, and it's in the params. So we're going to say n params. And if the error is not nil, we are going to basically return the error right here. Right. So now we have our params here, and then we're going to say that the user r is going to be types dot new user from params. We're going to give the params here. Perfectly fine. If there is an error again, we need to double check that. If r is not null, we are going to basically return the error, all right? Which is going to be perfectly JSON serialized to the user. Now we have a user. Now we can say if error, once again, we need to handle these errors, very important. h.userstore.createUser, actually. Maybe we should make it insert user. What do you think about that? It doesn't matter. We're going to give the C context, right? And then we're going to pass in the user here. And if the error is... Oh, wait, it's going to be two variables, right? It's going to be the inserted user R. We're going to put this on a new line. We made a mistake here. If R is not null, if I can type, font is so huge, we're going to return null and the errors. Wait, this is basically, we can't. We need to return, we need to this. We're going to return the error. Yeah. Return errors. And then we're going to return c.json, and we're going to marshal this inserted user back to the screen. Yeah, I think that's going to be okay. Of course, there's no validation yet, but first we're going to test, and then we're going to do our validation, right? Is everything set up? I think it is. So we are going to make a run here. Missing go some entry. If you have something like this, you could do a go mod tidy. You see, it's very good that we have these problems sometimes. I don't know. Just do a go mod tidy, press enter, and hopefully this is going to fix it. We have an error. I think we made a mistake in user store. Should we create, let's call this insert user, by the way. I think it's better. Oh, we don't have it. That's why the problem. We're going to implement it right now. So we're going to say C, Mongo user store, insert user, ctx context. That's going to be users, types, users. It's going to return a types user error. We're going to say something like s.collection.insert1, pass in the context, and then we're going to say insert the user. That's what we're going to do, and that's basically going to return us an inserted ID. So we're going to say a result error is this if r is not null. We're going to return null r. All right. And then we're going to have something like an inserted ID. So what we're going to do is, because very important, this user here, let me see if you guys can see this, what I'm doing actually. This user here is a pointer, right? Very important. This now is a little bit of pointer tricks. So what we're going to do, and this user doesn't have an ID, right? Because we don't know it. But this result will have the ID. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that the user.id is going to be the res inserted ID. But we're going to have a problem because first of all, I think, yeah, you see, res inserted ID is an interface. So we're going to cast this to, and I think it's a primitive.objectID. We need to cast this to a primitive.objectID. The problem is that a user ID, if you go back to our user ID is a string. So we're going to change this because MongoDB works with object IDs, right? So we're going to say this is going to be a primitive.objectID, right? Back to our user handler, store, by the way. Boom. So now we casted this. And then we're going to return, basically, we're going to return the user and nil, right? So what's happening is we are going to manipulate the pointer and then return the new pointer. So we have, actually, it doesn't really matter. It could without a pointer, to be honest, because we're going to return it. But anyway, we're going to update that. And basically, that's going to reflect everybody that's using this user pointer will have that new updated ID, if that makes sense. We need to fix one more thing in handler, I think, because we changed this to insert user. Exactly. So we're going to make insert user. And I think now we are ready to rumble. Make run. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up VS Code here. And I'm going to, first of all, do settings. And I'm going to make this 2. So it's a biggie. And then I'm going to basically open up Thunder request. And I'm going to say here, HTTP localhost, it's going to be 5000/API user v1 user. And I'm going to make a post request. I'm also going to set the header, and it's going to be a content type, and that's going to be application JSON. And then I'm going to the body here, and I'm going to make this request. So we're going to say the first name is going to be, for example, James. There's no Vim, is annoying here. Last name is going to be at the water cooler. We're going to make an email. That's going to be james@james.com. And then we're going to make a password. And that's going to be Hunter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. That's fine. Yeah. And now we're going to send this. And you can see that we have a response here. We're going to have the ID. The first name is James. The last name is at the water cooler. And the email is James. Amazing, isn't it? So we can make users. So let's make another user. We're going to call this Mark. How do I do this? It's annoying that I need to use my mouse. From the block. Is basically working at the same company as James. So we're going to say Mark at james.com. We're going to take the same password. Nobody cares. Boom. So now we have Mark. So now what we could do is basically use a get request. And we're going to get all the users. Shit, we have a problem here because we don't get any users here. Right? And that's not good. So we're going to fix that real quick. Because we have users. If we open up our MongoDB thingy here. Let me show you this. Disconnect here. Connect once again. Right? So you could see that we have 2 users. We have James with their encrypted passwords. So we need to actually retrieve these guys, right? And that's something that's not working. I think what we could do is basically... I cannot copy this. What's going on? We could do... I'm going to copy this ID, paste that in, and send that. So that's working. We got James here. That's working pretty fine. It's getting 1 user, so it's working pretty fine with the ID, but retrieving multiple is not. So we're going to fix that real quick. Why is this? Maybe I made a mistake in handle get users here. I think we need to go to the store, by the way. Get users. So we find all these things. but it cannot decode this into a user's thingy. And I don't understand why that is. Because this will give us an error, right? So let's basically return this back to an error, to nil errors. What do we have here? Cur dot will unmarshal a document. But this seems to be one document. What do we have here more? Maybe we need to look that up, why this is not working, to be honest. Let's make run real quick. And let's do this. Let's send. You see, it cannot decode the document into a types.user. That's nasty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly search some stuff up, right? What I'm going to be driver. I'm going to open the documentation of the driver real quick here. Let's see what we have. What's going on? Maybe we missed something. We cannot know everything, right? Let me see a usage example maybe, right? This is so annoying here. Find operations, that's maybe... Find multiple documents, that's what we want. Right, so we have restaurant, that's all good. Primitive object ID, yeah, that's what we do also. This filter... Maybe it's the filter, I don't think so. Cuisine Italian, so it's filtering stuff, that's fine. But that's... find many. Insert many, I want to have find many. This one, find one. Find, example. It's going to do it like this. Bison M. Ah, it's cursor all. Okay. It's cursor all, guys. We made a mistake. You see, it's like sometimes you need to do a little searching. Very, very important. So it's going to be cursor decode. That's basically for one. I think we need to do cursor all. And it wants also a context, by the way. It's no problem because we have that here. No, we're gonna... Yes, we have that here. It's fine. Context. That should be a better approach. Let's see if that's going to work. Yeah. Now we're good. You see, a little bit of a hiccup, but it is what it is. So basically, if you run into these problems, don't be afraid to search for documentation because the whole spectrum of programming is so large that you cannot know everything, right? So that's nice. So you see, this our user here worked perfectly fine. How many minutes do we have on the clock? Because I don't want to make these videos very, very long, but we still have 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes is a good lesson. Now we're going to set up our validation for our user. Very important because look at this. We can do something like this, right? Post, and we're going to say, for example, we're going to do an invalid email address. Boom. And it's going to insert an invalid email address. We could even make a password one letter, and we're going to send, and there's one letter password. We don't want that, right? We want to have some security and some safety to protect our users and to also protect our database from garbage. So let's, without any further ado, how do we do that? It's very, very simple. We're going to go to user, right? And we have our create user params here. And what we're going to do, we're going to say func params is going to be create user params, and we're going to call this validate, and that will return an error. And we are going to say, first of all, we're going to set things up. In our constants, we're going to say the minimum first name length is going to be 3. The minimum, you can adjust this. I think you have people with 2 letters actually, to be honest, so maybe we need to do 2, like an or yo or something, you know what I mean? Minimum last name length. Let's also do 2, I don't know. And then we're going to say minimum password length. And that's going to be 7, right? Of course, you can make your passwords, if you really, really want. Later on, we can make it have some special characters and other things, but I guess that's something you guys can figure out, right? For now, we're just going to say minimum password length and call it a day, right? So the first thing we're going to do here is, this is my OCD kicking in. We're going to say if params first name, we're going to say this. If the length of the params first name is smaller than the min first name len, we're going to return fmt error f. And we're going to say a nice message for the front end. We're going to say first name. What's going on? First name length should be at least %d characters. And %d is for formatting integers. And then we're going to say min first name len. We could also do a max. But hey, you get the point, right? The most important thing is you get the point, and maybe we're going to make this a little bit better in the future. Don't make it too... We could actually do a max also, but hey, it's fine. It's all fine. We're going to copy this, paste that in, and then we're going to say if params last name, it's going to be the last name len, just like that. And then we're going to say last name length should be at least this amount of characters, and that's going to be the last name len. And then we're going to copy this whole shebang, paste it in for the password. Password min password len. Password length should be at least these characters. We're going to say min password len here. Boom. And then we need to basically validate the email address. And then you could say, how do we do that? Well, very simple. You search something on the internet, a regex for an email thingy. I already did this, I think, in the past. Let me find something up. I think this is could be a good one. So I'm going to basically just look at this. I'm just going to copy this. You just go, you find a good regex. You don't need to know this at the top of your head. It's impossible. It's basically a waste of memory in your space. I'm going to paste that function in here. Basically is valid email. It has a regex here, and it's going to match the string, and it's going to return if it matches or not. Very simple, basic regex stuff. Easy. So we're going to say if is email valid. If it's not valid, and it's going to be the params email, right? Then we're going to say return fmt error f. Email is invalid. Something very simple. Don't give the user too much information because it's bad for hackers. Email is invalid. And in this case, basically everything is valid. We're going to return nil. So that's that. So first we're going to our user handler. Boom, just like that. Where is create user, post user here? Here. So first of all, somebody's going to send us JSON. We are going to parse that into a params, and then we're going to say if r is going to be params.validate, and the error is not nil, we are going to return the error, and that's going to return the error we just provided into the user thingy, right? Yeah, so that should actually work. Let's do make run. Let's open up our client here. Boom. Let's try to do that. We're going to send. Can you see the screen? Very important. Yes. We're going to send this. Boom. And then we're going to say password length should be at least 7 characters. Right? And that's because our password is borked. Boom. Then we're going to send, and its email is invalid. Cool. We're going to do the next one. Hop. And send. Boom. What you also could do is basically append a list of errors and return all the errors to the front end. And that's going to work something like this. Basically, where is our validation? So this one, right? What you could do here is return a slice of errors, and you could say var errors slice of errors. Actually, we're going to do it like that. Errors is going to be a slice of errors. Initialize it like this. And then we could do something like errors equals append errors The dog is barking for some reason. Let me see. Some kind of door or something. And the next thing we could do is basically a little bit confused here. Alright, we had a little inconvenience here. Somebody was on the door, so basically no problems. We're gonna continue here real quick. So hey, that stuff happens sometimes, right? So basically, what we're doing is we go and make these errors here as a slice of errors, and each time we have an error, we're gonna append to these errors. So we are going to say here, errors, yes, is going to be append errors, this error here. Perfectly fine. We're gonna do the same thing here. Errors is append errors just like this, and the same thing here. Errors is going to be coming on here. Append errors this bad boy, and in this case we are going to return errors all the time, right? So this basically means that we are going to return an empty slice of errors. Let me see if this actually cannot use variable user handler 20. Yeah, of course, user handler. I think we need to do some stuff here. So yeah, this is going to be a problem if the params validate. This is going to be a bunch of errors, right? So we're going to say errors params validate if can we do like this, len errors bigger than 0. We are going to basically marshal this. We need to marshal this. We're going to say a return JSON, and that's going to be errors. Actually, I think it's going to marshal that. Not quite sure. Maybe we are in a problem because I don't think Golang can marshal these things in a good way. So we're gonna check that, right? Sometimes a little bit of experimentation is no big of a deal. So we're gonna post. Let's make one error here. Let's say, for example, let's do M. It should be 2 characters, right? So we're gonna have a problem. That's because Golang cannot marshal this. So what we're gonna do is let's open up our Vim back again. User this one. So instead of making this a slice of errors, we are going to make this a slice of strings. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. A slice of strings. It's gonna be a slice of error strings. So instead of doing fmt error f, we're gonna say fmt s print f, s print f, s print f, and s print f. I think that's gonna be a little bit better. Make a run. Do this once again. Let's send this. Okay, now we have this error, right? First name length should be at least 2 characters. Of course, we could actually make this a little bit better. Let's do the last name also. Boom. And then we have this error, the last name. And we could do email also, for example, invalid email. Boom, email is invalid, right? So basically, this is not the best response we could return to the front end, because now we need to basically parse which error it's going to be. So what we also could do is make a key, like a struct, key, first name, last name, email, and put the errors there. That's what we're going to do probably when we are basically making our error handling a little bit better for the front end. Right? It's very important in your job that you make it so clean as possible for the front end, but for now this will work. This will also give you an idea how you could return errors to the screen. All right, I'm going to leave it for this video. In the next episode we're going to continue. We're probably going to make some tests or something, and we're going to, not quite sure, we will see, right? We're gonna make our delete stuff. That's also something we need to do, update stuff, so we have our full user credit done, and then we can start doing fun stuff with bookings and all that stuff, and the hotels and all that jazz. Peace.